everyone, my name is Marie, welcome to my channel and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video, I'm sharing a project with you that I've been working on for a few weeks now, on and off definitely, of course, but yeah, this was a pretty big project. I actually built a vineyard family home type thing in the world of Tartosa, and something I never do that you can see me do right now, like right off the bat, was terrain tools. I was so excited about this because ever since the horse ranch pack came out, I've been wanting to do something vineyard related because we now have nectar making in the game, aka winemaking, and we have all these really cute like grape bushes, I don't really know what to call it, from the debug menu from the horse ranch pack as well, and then combined with the Tartosa world, of course, which is the Mediterranean inspired world that came with the wedding pack. It's just such a perfect combination, and I've been just really wanting to do something like this that is pretty much out of my comfort zone for the most part. And yeah, I was just really excited to get started on this, and I definitely did not have anything to go off of other than a vibe that I kind of wanted to try and achieve with like these grape bushes like in the front of the build, and then I also wanted there to be horses because we do have horse ranch now, so I kind of wanted to include like a stable area with horses, and then I wanted there to be like a beautiful like Mediterranean inspired house on top of the hill, and then I also wanted there to be a bar area. So the house on this lot is actually a family home. I furnished it just like as a residential lot, but then you could also set this lot as a bar because we have like a little bar section off to the side of the house, and then there's this very dreamy little area where you can just sit and do wine tasting. And I think I included 3 of the nectar making machines or appliance. I don't really know what to call that, but like the nectar making thing basically that came with the horse ranch pack. I included 3 of those. So I was kind of imagining that you could come here, you could like visit this area or visit this place with your family or with friends, and you can do actual like winemaking. You could do like a winemaking workshop kind of a thing. I thought that would be really fun. And then you could also do some wine tasting here. That's kind of what I was imagining. Obviously those things don't actually function that way in the game, but you could still kind of pretend. And so yeah, you could have a family live here and kind of pretend that they have their own home business, and you actually do make a lot of money from winemaking in The Sims, so it's actually a very lucrative business to have, even though you can't really have a business other than you just sell the nectar, of course, but you could always just like pretend. And yeah, I was definitely pretending this family to be running their nectar making wine tasting business, and they have a bar attached to their house and stuff like that. And I think this would also make a pretty dreamy wedding destination. I did not end up including a wedding arch in this build, but you could obviously find a place somewhere to like fit in a little wedding arch, and then you could have like, yeah, just your little wedding, because there's a little bit of space left. Like we have the terrain tools, like the hills basically, and then we have this shed with the horse enclosure, and then there's definitely some space left over on the lot. So you could obviously add some stuff for a wedding if you wanted to as well. I didn't really want to focus on that though. I think I would have more fun building an actual wedding destination kind of a thing. Like wedding lot, what's that called? My brain is not braining today, but I hope that that's okay. I think that would be a lot more fun to like make an actual wedding venue, that's the word. Like in this kind of a theme, and then like surround it around the wedding arch and the whole setup for the wedding and the dancing area and like the dining area, like stuff like that. But this one is just for, you know, hanging out with your Sims. You could just have them go to the bar here, or you could use this as an actual residential lot and you could have a family live here, and then they can have amazing parties at their like bar area. Like that would work really well for family parties, or just not family parties, just regular parties. That would work really well. But for the rest, yeah, this voiceover or this speed build is pretty long because naturally it just took me a little bit to actually build this thing because it's pretty big, and like I said, it's pretty much out of my comfort zone because I never use terrain tools. they scare me. Like, I don't really know how to deal with them. I think they're scary. I think the manipulated terrain can be pretty difficult to work with because you're definitely going to have to use tool a lot. I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't like flatten out the terrain completely, then nothing is going to snap to it the way you want it to. Everything is going to be floating, and it's just a whole thing. So I usually don't really touch the terrain tools because I find it to be pretty overwhelming. But this time, I was like, you know what, I can be brave for once and I could just give it a go. And so I did, and I'm very happy with how it came out. I will say I did cut out a lot of the terrain, or not the terrain, but a lot of the landscaping, because the landscaping for the most part is just me placing rocks and tooling them, and then placing plants and tooling them to make everything look filled up and like hide the little awkward corners between the rocks, stuff like that. So there was a lot of me landscaping, and I did cut out a little bit of that. And then I also, at some point, I actually landscaped the whole entire back. You can see that we're placing some rocks in the back now. And I also did some landscaping there. Obviously, I did a lot of plants and stuff, but I didn't even record that because I was like, you know what? This is so repetitive, and this video is going to be 6 years long if I am going to keep everything in. So I just, some parts I just cut out, or some parts I just didn't really record, but you get the gist of what I did with the landscaping. It was just me placing a whole bunch of rocks and a whole bunch of plants everywhere. But obviously at the end of the video, we always do a little bit of a tour at the end of the video. So then I, after this speed build, I just jump into the game and I show you the build. I'll give you a little tour of the build, and then I'll show you all the landscaping that I did, including the back, of course, as well. But then for the rest, for this lot, you can see that I was messing around with like staircases, going up to the little hill areas, and then going up to the main house. And it actually took me a while before I actually got to building the house itself, because I was having so much fun with the landscaping, and this project definitely has me excited to do this more often, like bigger, quote unquote, bigger projects with more terrain tool. I know that this isn't that huge of a project compared to what some other simmers do, because I feel like some other simmers are just so crazy talented and they like build these amazing, very detailed, huge lots just like so often, and I don't know how they do it. Like, that's, to me, that's very overwhelming, and I think it's amazing, but I just, I don't know, for some reason, I just can't do it. Every once in a while I can, and I was very proud for stepping out of my comfort zone with this one. I think this one turned out really well, way better than I thought it would. And what actually helped me, I think, is that I started this build over on stream, so I built it live over on Twitch for the most part, and then I ended up yeah, I did some of the furnishing of the house on Twitch as well, and then I actually finished up the build by myself. But for the most part, I built this on Twitch, and that was nice because I had chat there, obviously, making some suggestions or just hanging out with me, and it made me not overthink everything too much, because that's what I tend to do with anything in life, just in general, but also in Sims. Like, I tend to sometimes just overthink stuff, because when you've been building, like working on a build for a little bit of time, then you start to like overthink things. I think that's only natural because you've been looking at it for so long. Like, it only makes sense that you start to overthink things a little bit, and that definitely happens to me all the time too, and that would have happened to me as well for sure with this build if I just did this by myself. But it actually helped me to just have people hang out with me and just chat with me, and I was just doing some landscaping while we were chatting about other things, and it was just a really nice vibe, and it really helped me to step out of my comfort zone, I guess. And do something like this. And it also gives me courage to do it more often, because I had a lot of fun with this. But here you can see we're working on a little garden area because, well, as pretty as the wine area at the front of the build is, like the grape area, I should say, that's debug. Like, that's not functional. You can't make nectar with those crops because they're not actually crops. So I wanted to include a little area where you could actually do some farming and like harvesting of crops. And gardening and stuff, so I decided to make a little garden for that, just below the house. I thought that would only make sense, so it could actually be functional. You don't have to find a spot to grow your crops by yourself if you wanted to download and use this house in the end. And then at some point here, I actually got started on the build. Crazy, I know. It took me a while to get started because I had so much fun with the landscaping, and I kind of just wanted to keep going because I was in that zone of just like alt placing or tool placing rocks and bushes and trees and flowers. I was like, I can't stop. I have to go. I have to keep going. So that's what I did. And then at some point it was actually time for me to start on the build. So I wanted there to be this grand house like that. It's on top of the hill, so that already makes it feel pretty grand. And I just wanted it to look cozy and fancy, and I wanted it to be quite wide as well because the hill itself is quite wide. So I wanted this house to basically fill up the entire back area of the lot. And then I got a little overwhelmed because I was like, this house is so big, what are we going to do with all the space? And then it hit me, of course, we need an actual wine tasting bar kind of an area. So the entire right wing of the house, I want to say, is literally a bar area and also a winemaking area for the most part, because I did place 3 of those nectar makers inside as well for like the workshop area, I guess. I am not at all familiar with this type of a build or this type of a lot in real life. I've never been to a wine tasting, whatever. I've never been to a vineyard. I have no experience with this. So if this is not realistic or not accurate, then that's why. But I wasn't really like, I didn't really do any research on it. I did look, of course, at some like residential houses, and I can kind of imagine what a wine tasting like would be like, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what I try to represent. I just really wanted to have fun with this and not restrict myself too much of like thinking like, how would this go in real life? Like, what would this look like in real life? I feel like it's still pretty accurate though. But let me know what you think. And I think it turned out really nice. I'm really happy with how it came together. And what's actually nice is that the house itself, like the residential part of the house, actually didn't end up being that big because the entire left wing on the ground floor is dedicated to the bar / winemaking area. So that took up a lot of space, which was actually good. So the house ends up having 3 bedrooms total. I furnished it for 1 or 2 parents. The parents' bedroom has space for 2 parents, but could obviously also be 1. We have 1 teenager's bedroom and then 1 shared kids' bedroom for 2 kids total. So I furnished this house with a family of up to 6 Sims in mind, but you could also make the teenager's room a shared bedroom. That would be pretty cramped, but it would fit. So I think you could have up to 6 Sims like comfortably live in this house. It's not the biggest, but it's also definitely not very small. And the bedrooms, for the most part, are very, very spacious and nice. The parents have like a pretty spacious bedroom when they have their own ensuite, and they have like a built-in wardrobe situation. So that room is pretty grand. And then the teens room is a little bit smaller, and then the kids room again is a little bit bigger because it's a shared room. So I feel like that only makes sense. And then the downstairs area is also pretty spacious, but it's nothing too crazy. I'm actually really happy with how that came out as well. But for now, we're still working on the outdoor area because I really wanted to get started on the wine tasting area / party area kind of a situation. So I had a lot of fun with that, but not after I placed more rocks. I placed a lot of rocks. I think I mostly used rocks from the dark gray ones, I think, are from the Cats and Dogs pack, and then the lighter ones are actually from the Tartosa pack, the wedding pack, because obviously I wanted this build to blend in with the surrounding area as much as possible, which it naturally kind of already does because it's a Mediterranean inspired build. But I still wanted to make sure that landscaping wise and like rock wise, I guess it would still like fit in with the rest of the world, like the surrounding area pretty nicely. And I think I did an all right job. I'm just overall very happy with how this came out, and I sound like a broken record, but I'm just very happy that I stepped out of my comfort zone and that I just tried to do this. And it actually worked out. Like, this definitely gave me a little bit more confidence to play around with the terrain tool a little bit more often, because I had a lot of fun with it, and it's just it looks so cool. Like, I feel like it adds so much to a build if you just do a little bit of terrain tool. Like, obviously it doesn't always have to add a lot. It really depends on what kind of a build you're doing, but it just makes it come to life, especially when you're building on a bigger lot. I believe this is a 50 by 50, if I'm not mistaken, and that's pretty spacious. So if the whole thing is going to be flat, like obviously that's still very pretty. but it just, I don't know, I think this is cool and a little bit different, and it just adds something extra to the build if you do a little bit of terrain paint, I feel, but I'm just too scared to do that most of the time. But I'm happy that I did it for this one though. And here you can see a lot of me placing more plants and then tool placing them, and then here up on this little hill situation, we are going to create the wine tasting area. So we basically end up having a bunch of tables and chairs, rustic looking ones. I really wanted this place to feel and look rustic, of course, because I'm using a lot of the Horse Ranch pack stuff. And I also ended up using some like cottage living signs and things like that. Obviously lots of barrels, so it's very rustic, and I feel like that combines very nicely with the Mediterranean world and also the Mediterranean style house on the hill. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it makes sense, and I'm so happy about this. Ever since Horse Ranch came out, I've just been excited about mixing it with Tartosa, and I just haven't really gotten a chance to do it up until now. So I'm so happy that I finally got a chance, and that the packs actually work together, or like the world works together very nicely with the stuff that came with the Horse Ranch pack. I feel that it makes a lot of sense. And then here on top of the hill, you can see that we are getting started on the wine tasting area, and I really wanted this to feel magical and basically just like wedding ready. It's not like actually ready for a wedding because I didn't place like a wedding arch and stuff like that, but just like, you know what I mean, like a Pinterest fairy tale rustic wedding vibe is what I kind of try to go for, with fairy lights and barrels and plants and like that sort of a thing. That's basically what I was going for, and I think that it came out the way I wanted it to. Like, I'm really happy with how it came together. I wish we had a high rustic table that came with the Horse Ranch pack in that same style, because right now I'm using cottage living high tables and they're really nice, but I just wish that we had like, I don't know, like a barrel type style higher table, if that makes sense. Something that looks like a barrel or was made out of a barrel, or just like something a little bit more rustic looking, I think would have been perfect, but we didn't really have anything that resembled that. And I feel like this table that came with the cottage living pack was the next best thing, so I just decided to go for that. And then obviously I wanted there to be like little twinkly lights everywhere, so I made sure to place a bunch of lights on the tables and everything. And then up the stairs here we have the bar area. I thought an outside bar would make the most sense. Like, I just thought that that was such a vibe, and I just thought that it looked very cozy too. So we have an outdoor bar and a little picnic table next to it as well. And then behind the bar basically is your entrance into the indoor section of the bar, like the winemaking kind of a situation. And overall, I just, like I said, I sound like a broken record, but I'm just really happy with how it came out in the end. At first I was going to place only 2 of those winemakers, but then I was like, you know what, we have some space. Let's place 3 of them. So I placed 3 of them. And I think that looks really good. I can totally imagine Sims going here on like a little trip, maybe when they're on vacation in Tartosa, and maybe this area is known for their nectar, and they can go do some nectar tasting, and they can do some nectar making, like a little workshop. All 3 Sims together, like stomping the grapes. I could really see that. And obviously that is not a thing that you can actually do, but I think it would be very useful if this is like a family business. If you're going to play in this house and you're going to have nectar making be their family business, it is pretty nice to be able to have 3 Sims going at the same time. I think that would make a lot of sense, because you could make a lot of bottles of nectar that way in a day. Like, that's very efficient. I think that only makes sense. And then for the rest, I really tried to make this place cozy with some barrels, of course. I used so many barrels. I should count them. I didn't do that, but I feel like I should, because there are so many barrels included in this build. It's ridiculous. And then here off of the nectar making area, we have a little indoor hangout area where you can enjoy your nectar. Maybe if the weather isn't the greatest, like maybe if it's a little rainy, I wanted there to be at least a little bit of indoor seating. So that is what I decided to do here with a again, rustic furniture from the Horse Ranch pack. I just feel like it is such pretty furniture. I know I've been overusing it. Like, I really need to go back to building things without horse stables that don't overuse this pack, which I did do that. My previous video was actually a community lot, so that one didn't have any horse stables. So that's good. But I should also just go back to building your classic suburban Willow Creek family homes, you know, because I really do enjoy that. But really, this pack sparked so much inspiration for me. I think it's also because it is just such like a nostalgic feeling to me, like the whole horse aspect of it all. I've definitely talked about this before in my previous videos, but I did used to be a horse girly myself when I was younger. I did used to have a horse, and I did a lot of horse riding, competitive horse riding as well, and it just brings up a lot of memories, and I don't know, I'm just having so much fun with it because also something I talked about before, but like it was my dream as a kid to live in a house where I could have my horse like actually by the house, like I could have stables and like live there, you know, like that was literally me and my sister's biggest dream. And now I can actually do that in The Sims 4, so that's so fun. I can just keep building my dream homes over and over again. Like my childhood dream homes, I could just keep building them because we have horses now and it's so much fun for me. And I just think the horses in this pack are also just so cute. I think they're so incredibly well made and the animations are so good. And I just think they're really cute, especially the foals. Oh my god, they're the cutest thing ever. I can't stop playing with them. They're so cute. So yeah, naturally there are horses included with this pack, which doesn't really make any sense, but I guess the family is also into horse riding. It doesn't really have anything to do with the nectar, but I just couldn't help myself. And since this build is so rustic and farmy, I thought, you know, horses, let's just go for it. So I went for it, and I think it added a lot to the overall like vibe of the build though, of the lot. I think it turned out really cozy. You just have these horses out front when you first walk up to the lot. There are these horses out front, and then you have this dreamy walk up to the house, and I just think it's such a vibe. I'm really happy with how it came together. And then here we're actually moving on to the interior of the build. So what I tried to do for the interior of this build, because this build is already so much, like there is so much going on, the amount of items on this lot, because of all the rocks and all the landscaping mostly, is kind of ridiculous. And you know, I can understand that this lot would be very laggy for a lot of people if you don't have the very best computer. Like, let me tell you, I got a brand new computer literally last weekend, and I'm using it now, and it's a fantastic computer. Like, it's absolutely amazing. But even when I finished up this lot by myself using my brand new computer, moving around the camera, I got just the tiniest amount of lag when I was moving the camera too fast. So that tells me that if this computer, this beast of a computer, like has a little bit of lag with this lot, I can only imagine what it would be like if you're just playing The Sims on your gaming, like not even gaming, but just like your regular laptop or something, or like on a lower end computer. Like it would make sense that this lot would be a little bit laggy. So to kind of help with that, I mean, maybe it didn't help at all because I already placed so many items, but to kind of help with that, I tried to, for the interior, keep it simple, make it lived in and cozy, but like keep it simple. So I didn't need to clutter up every single surface to the max, like all placing clutter, stuff like that. Like I did use clutter. For example, we have like a whole bookcase wall by the window. You'll see that in a little bit, that I definitely cluttered up a little bit, but I only placed clutter on the slots, like the actual existing slots, because usually what I do when it comes to cluttering up surfaces, it doesn't slot the way I want to, so I just place it. I like pull the surface out of the way, I place the clutter item, and then I place the surface back, if that makes sense. Just so that you can place it more precisely, and you can place it more, like you can place more just in general. But for this one, I was like, you know what, let's just utilize the slots that are there and then call it a day. So that's what I actually did. I think for the most part, there may be some surfaces where I'm like, okay, this just looks ugly, so I still did it the way I used to do it before. I still do it that way, but like I still like manually all place the clutter basically if it just didn't look right to me. But for the most part, I just used existing slots, and I'm very happy that I did that, because it makes the house a little bit less overwhelming, and I'm just overall just really happy with how it came out. It didn't stop me from placing a bunch of cups on the coffee table and stuff though. As you can see, I did definitely place as much clutter as I could, but using the existing slots. And I think that's a good thing. Like, it definitely reduces the amount of items that I would otherwise use. But I'm actually very obsessed with this bookcase wall that I did around the windows. I don't know where that came from, but I was just like, okay, how are we gonna fill in this little area by the windows? Because the way I did the layout, this area here was just a little bit like too small to really do anything, but too big to like not do anything. And so I decided, you know what, we are missing a bookcase, so let's create a big one around the window and fill up the entire wall. And I'm really happy with how that came out. Like, look how cozy that is. And I love how the lighting is hitting that window. You can kind of see the direct sunlight coming through, and it just looks so cozy on the little candles that are standing there. And I just think that it turned out really cute. And then I also had a little nook by the staircase where I actually placed a piano. I thought that would make sense. And if you also go ahead and place a microphone somewhere in this build, you could also use this lot as a lounge, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, I feel like if you wanted to use this as a community lot, maybe you would want to close the doors or lock the doors into the house, so you don't actually have your Sims roaming around the house. Because that just feels a little bit weird, because naturally there would be a family living here, but you can't have a lot be a community lot and also a residential lot at the same time. How cool would that be though? How cool would it be if you could run a bar kind of a situation from home? Like, if this was actually a thing, because I know you can do retail, like you can sell stuff. I don't think you can do that on your home lot though. I think you have to have an actual retail lot, build a shop, and sell stuff there. But you could like cheat it in a way where you could just build a house on that lot and just like never leave. You could just live on your retail lot basically, essentially. But you still have to have a residential lot. Like, that's just how the game works. But I think it would be so fun if you could have a residential lot that could also function as a community lot. So you could have your restaurant and you could run it from home, or you could have like this bar kind of a situation and you could run it from home. I think that would be so cool. Oh, that would be so fun. But sadly that is not the case, but we can pretend. We obviously have our imagination and we can pretend. But here you can see we're working on the kitchen, and I'm really excited about this kitchen because I haven't been able to use this swatch of the counter set before. This is the counter set that came with the new Horse Ranch pack. And ever since I saw this swatch, this specific swatch with like the dark wood and the very orangey wood countertops, I've been so excited about it because I think it's such a pretty color combination, and I just love that orangey rich wood. Like, it looks so pretty. But every time, for some reason, it's just that this color, like this swatch, doesn't go with the color scheme I pick. Up until now, like for this kitchen, it actually worked really well because I'm using this base game tile that is actually a recolor. Because before the Horse Ranch pack came out, we got this pretty big base game update where they updated a lot of, or added a lot of swatches to different tile floors, including this one. And I'm so excited about it because I love this tile floor, but it used to only come in one swatch. And that was so sad because I didn't really like that swatch very much. I liked the style of the tile that I actually use on the entire ground floor. I really like the style of tile. That's so annoying to say. The style of tile. But I just wasn't really happy with the color, and it only came in one swatch, so no choices. But now there is multiple swatches on it, and that is actually very extremely helpful, and I really love this orange terracotta color type thing, and I feel like that's perfect for a Mediterranean inspired house like this one. So I just, you know, decided to go for it, and I think it turned out really cute. And then here downstairs we have one hall bathroom, and we also actually have a basement. And I think that I did not furnish the basement on camera because I think I forgot at the first instance, but then I quickly went back and just furnished the basement before I uploaded this build to the gallery. So there is a furnished basement, but the basement basically only, I did that because you want to store your nectar in the basement to have it be worth more, like have it be finely aged and be worth a lot more than when you would store it not in a basement. So I really wanted to include a basement because, well, this family is heavily nectar making inspired, so I really wanted to do like a little basement where you could store your nectar and have that all be good to go. So I did that, but I do think I forgot to record, or just like forgot to furnish it at first. But it's very simply decorated though, just like a couple of decorative barrels again, of course, and then some storage for the nectar itself as well. That's actually functional. And then here we are moving on to the second floor of the house, and then we have the parents' bedroom over here, and I think this one turned out really nice. I was trying to go for a pop of color in here, but nothing really went well with the curtains that I was trying to use, so I decided to go for this muted blue floral design on the bed. And it definitely adds a little bit of a pop of color still though, so I think it's nice. And we didn't really have a dedicated office for this build yet, so I decided to place a desk in the parents' bedroom, just like a little office situation that you would probably need if you have a business like this at your home attached to your house. Then I feel like you would need a little office space, and I was actually thinking of making the room next to the parents' bedroom into an office space, but that would mean I would only have 2 dedicated bedrooms in this house, and for a lot this size, that just didn't really feel right to me. I wanted there to be as many bedrooms as possible. So I decided to turn it into a teenager's bedroom instead, and then since this parent's room is so big, like it's fine. They can have a desk in this room, like it's okay. But realistically, maybe you would want to have a dedicated office space, but yeah, I just didn't really do that. You could always expand the basement if you wanted to. There's obviously no natural light in the basement, but you could still, I don't know, maybe expand it and add a office to the basement if you wanted to go that way and still have 3 bedrooms. Like that's also a possibility, but I thought that this was fine because I wasn't really trying, like I said, to clutter up these rooms to the fullest. So I thought, you know what, to fill up some space, let's go for a desk, because otherwise I would have done another seating area and it wouldn't really be functional because you're realistically never really going to use that. So I thought a desk would make the most sense. But then here we have the parents, or the teenager's bedroom, and I'm obsessed with the color scheme in here. I love it so much. It looks like a beautiful orange gold sunset in here. Because I went for this orangey plaster situation, kind of a wallpaper that came with the wedding pack, and then I used this bed in this red and orange and pink swatch. It looks like a sunset, and it's so pretty. I was so excited when I saw this swatch, and it just went really well with this room. And then I did use a couple of pops of blue to add something to counteract all the warm tones. I thought that would be nice. So the curtains are dark blue and the mirror is dark blue. And then obviously we have a bunch of posters and things. And I also added one of the new swatches of the backpack in here, because the other day we actually got an SDX drop where they gave us more swatches and actual functionality for the red backpack that comes with the base game, and there is also a matching lunchbox thingy. And I did not use that, I don't think, but I did use the recolored backpacks in the teens room and also in the children's room. So I'm very excited about those. Oh my goodness. Every time I use that backpack, and I use it a lot, every time I have a kid's room or a teenager's room, I want to say 95% of the time I use that backpack. And every time I use it, I'm like, I wish we had more swatches. I wish we had some neutrals. So you could also make this work for your college students, for example. You know, like you could always make it work for any age range. It really doesn't matter, but we were missing some neutrals or just some like updated, more modern looking, you know, less outdated looking swatches to the backpack. So I'm so excited that they added those. And then the matching lunchbox is perfect. If you size up that lunchbox, it looks just like a laptop, like business laptop bag. So I feel like that is so realistic. Like I've messed around with it a little bit, and I feel like if I use Tool and size it up a little bit, then it looks just like a laptop bag. If you size it up without Tool, I feel like the increment is too big and it just looks ridiculous, I think. But with Tool, it looks perfect. You can make it look just like a laptop bag, so that's very versatile. I have heard some people say though that the lunchbox is a little bit annoying in the sense that your Sims keep walking over to it and want to use it, like want to grab food out of it. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Like, But you know, maybe they can still tone that down, or I don't really know. But I haven't really done any gameplay with these new, or like, yeah, with that new item, I want to say. So I have to test that out for myself, but I'm so happy that they gave us new swatches because it changes a lot for me since I do use that item so often. But here we have the kids' bedroom. I totally talked over it, but it's also very warm and kind of sunny looking, and they have a bunch of toys in there. It's basically like a nice little playroom because I didn't really end up placing any toys anywhere else. So there's just a bunch of toys in the children's room, and then there is also a swing set outside, which I think is nice. Maybe if you wanted to, you could add the Monkey Jungle bars, but that may be a little bit crammed. And then last but not least, here we have the stables for the horses. Also, by the way, there's more bathrooms, of course. There's a hall bathroom upstairs, and the parents have an ensuite. I just decided to not record those because this video was already going to be so long. So I was like, the bathrooms are boring and repetitive. So I just did not record those. But I will obviously show you in a little bit here when we do a bit of a tour of the build. But here, last but not least, we have the stables for the horses. I made space for 2 horses total, and they have like this beautiful outdoor enclosure outside, of course, and I placed a lot of vines and stuff to make it look all dreamy, and I'm so happy with how it came out. I also placed some barrels here so you could actually do some agility training. Since we are in Tartosa and there's no other like jumping or agility training abilities anywhere or opportunities anywhere here in the world, so you'd have to travel to the horse world for that. So I wanted to include something on the lot as well, which is what I did. But that's it for this build. So let's jump in the game and I'll show you the house in real time. So here we have the vineyard in the game. I feel like this is the perfect time of day. It's evening right now and the sun just hits the house perfectly, and I just think it kind of feels like golden hour right now, and it just looks so warm and inviting to me. So as you can see, there is a bunch of landscaping going on. At first, here in the front of the house, we have these grapes for the nectar, but sadly, obviously that isn't functional. But there is a fully functional area right here where you can plant your crops and do your actual gardening. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and place the square plots of gardening ground or land, basically, the ones that came with cottage living. You probably know what I'm talking about. You could place those in there as well, but I decided to go for this kind of a vibe with the terrain paint. And then down here, of course, we have the horsies. They can just roam around free. Someone already pooped, so that's perfect. That's lovely. But there's definitely some landscaping going on here that I did not end up recording because it was just too much. But here we obviously have the stables, like the inside of the stables. One of the horses is just chilling in here, which is perfectly okay. And then back here, I placed a little picnic table. We have a lot of rocks and obviously more landscaping going on. And then using these stairs over here, this is where you would enter into the wine tasting or nectar tasting, I should say, area. So there is a bunch of signing out here, some decorations, and then just a bunch of tables and chairs and these beautiful little fairy lights. And there is a little bench for smooching over here in the corner as well. Maybe I can show it to you in the dark. Yeah. I feel like that still looks really lovely with all the fairy lights everywhere and the tiny candles, and it's just really nice. You could sit here, you would have a beautiful view over the wine or the grapes. I keep calling it the wine, it's grapes, Marie. And it's just very dreamy and lovely. And then when you go up here, this is the bar area where you could order your wine, and there's also another little picnic bench out here. Around here, I placed a swing set. I thought that was a cute little addition. You would have a nice view when you just like hang out there. And then here in the back, I did a bunch of landscaping that I did not record, so you can see that there's just, you know, some landscaping to fill in the gaps and make it look a little bit more finished as well. But like I said, it was just getting too repetitive for the speed build. But then back to the bar area, let me show you the inside of it. So behind the bar, there is a sliding glass door leading you to a little indoor area where you can just hang out and enjoy your wine. And then through here is the actual nectar making area. So we have 3 of these nectar making things, machines. I still don't know what to call them, but you know what I mean. And this is where you would do like your nectar making workshop. Oh no, I forgot to give this area a bathroom. Oh, I forgot to furnish this. I will real quick do that and then upload it to the gallery. It's gonna be fine. Actually, let me do it right now. And done. A simple but effective little bathroom for if you're visiting the bar that I totally did not forget to furnish. It's fine. And then when we go over to this side of the lot, so this is where we have the front door leading you into the residential part of the house. So we have a nice little entryway here with your standard entryway decorations and furniture. Then through here, there's a little hallway leading you into the downstairs hall bath that also actually has a shower, so that's quite nice. And then let's just get the basement out of the way. So we have a little basement where I placed my sim for the sake of screenshots. I banished her to the basement. It's fine. But here you can do your nectar storing, and for the rest there's just a bunch of decorations here. But if you wanted to make the space more functional, then you could obviously do that, turn it into a gym or something like that. And then back here we have some outdoor bins. And then through here I created an archway using these spandrels and columns, and then you basically walk straight into the open living and dining room. So over here is a dining room with a nice fireplace and a TV. We have the built-in bookcases here built around the little window, which I think is just such a cozy vibe. And over here we have the dining table, of course, and there is also a glow bar that someone in chat actually suggested I place. And I think that's a really fun addition. It really makes a lot of sense, especially for this house. And then there is a piano here in the corner as well. And then over here behind the barn doors, we have the closed off kitchen. I thought a closed off kitchen was kind of the vibe for this build because I did imagine this to be quite an old house that's definitely been renovated over time, but it's still like the bones of the house are old, if that makes sense. And I thought that the closed off kitchen with the barn doors was kind of a fun little detail. So I really like the shape of this kitchen. It just turned out this way because of the layout of the room, but I feel like it's kind of fun. It's a little bit different. And well, the kitchen just has everything that your Sims would need, and a little fridge here tucked away in the corner. And then when we go upstairs, the second floor is definitely a little bit more spacious because none of the space is being taken up by the bar. But here we have a pretty spacious landing area with a little balcony on the back of the house with a little chess table. And then over here is the parents' bedroom. So they basically just have their bed and an office nook. I had space for a large walk-in closet in here, so that's what I did. And then they have a nice ensuite over here as well that I once again did not record, but this is what it looks like. It's just very simple. It has a nice shower top combo, a sink, and a toilet. Sorry for the jumpy camera. I think it has to be the terrain. But then next to the parents' room is the teens' room, which is a little bit more cluttered looking and a little bit messy, but not overly so. They have their desk and they actually get their own balcony, so that's pretty nice. And they have a wardrobe and little makeup area here as well. And then on their balcony attached to their bedroom, they have a bench and a telescope. Next to or in between the kids and teens room is another hall bathroom. This one is for the children to share, of course, the teen and the kids. And then over here is the kids room, which is a little bit more bright and colorful. I mean, the teenagers room is also bright and colorful, but this one is a bit more all over the place when it comes to patterns. I love the bedding for these two beds. I think it's so adorable and I love how they match. So that's what I ended up using in here. They have their toy box, some knickknacks on the dresser, an activity table, a dollhouse, a Blarfy. So I feel like they're pretty good on toys. They also have some books in here. So yeah, just your nice little colorful kids room. But that is basically it for this build. So I just now uploaded this Tartosa Vineyard to the gallery. It has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and it comes in at just under 125,000 simoleons. So it's very expensive, but that only makes sense. This thing is huge. I built it on a 50 by 50 in the world of Tartosa, so if you want to place it in your game, then that is where it goes. But that's gonna do it for today's video, so I really hope that you enjoyed this one. You can obviously go ahead and download it off the gallery like I just showed you. My username on the gallery is Simmary Sims. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok if you'd like. My username on there is Simmary Sims as well. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, feel free to do so, and if you want to be notified of every single time I upload a video, just click that little bell icon and you should be fine. I also live stream over on Twitch a few times a week, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and give me a follow over on twitch.tv/SimmarySims. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!